Yo guys, what up? Welcome back to the channel. Once again guys, it's been a very long time. Really appreciate you, all of you that stay with the channel. So today we have our overall roadmap to platinum for Persona 5 Strikers and my overall review all in one video together. So once again, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. This is your roadmap to platinum, folks. We're going to go over the most important things to earn platinum for this game. There's a lot of information out there on the web about platinum stuff. I'll leave two guides below and a very, very helpful video. So before we get into everything, there's going to be a certain the guaranteed tips that you want to look forward to. So I'm going to go right back into the game. The most important thing in this game is how you do your bonds, in my opinion. So when you level up bonds by doing, fighting anything in the overworld, or you're doing some just story stuff, you increase your bond level. This is the hardest trophy in the game by far, is the grind to get level 99 in order to unlock every single skill in the game essentially. There's a lot of videos out there saying, Oracle recovery is very, very good, it's needed. I'm going to dispel all of that for you guys right now. The most important skill to have is Bond Maker. This is the most important skill, and you should save up to maximize this first. Other than that, stuff that gives you more money, such as Highwayman, Extortionist, and Joker's Wild over here, are probably some of the best skills in the game to have, especially early on, because it helps accumulate a lot of other stuff. For the most part, you can pretty much ignore everything in here. It won't really help you till super endgame, this kind of stuff. Even then, I would much rather people invest into SP, Strength Boost, and Magic Boost. Magic Boost, not so much. You really want to focus on these two for combat for now. You're not going to really need all this high-end stuff, even for late game, normal mode stuff. For the most part, we're going to get all into the difficulty a little bit later on in the review section of this. But the most important thing is right here is Bond Maker, followed by these two. You can also opt out for some if you're having trouble with the game Metaverse Medic, and another one to absolutely, of course, these Highwayman Extortionist, and Joker's Wild. But another one you should also be working towards as well too is Treasure Hunter, as we'll get into the trophy a little bit later. But always make sure you have this available, and if you want to skip some of the grind a little bit later on to get treasure demons in this game, you definitely want to unlock this at max potential as early as possible. So let's get into the trophies, folks. With that small tip out of the way, none of the trophies are actually be missable. There are two trophies that essentially require New Game Plus. I say do require because, once again, Bond Maker can be done in your first playthrough, but we're going to go over that trophy at the very end because it's, once again, the stopgap trophy for most people to not get platinum for this. So, to spoil it, these are your dungeon trophies: Cage of Lust Closed, Cage of Vanity, Cage of Gluttony, Cage of Desolation, Cage of Wrath, Cage of Arrogance, Humanity's Companion, Walk Your Own Path, and Back to Business. So these are essentially your trophies for story progression. And so are these technically too: Farewell to the Past and A Newfound Heart. Essentially, this is Wolf's persona coming into effect. You don't get Wolf initially in the mid-game. You get him when you go, spoilers, to Kyoto. Here's Sophie's true persona. You get this during her story arc in what essentially is the momentum stuff. Showtime. You're going to be doing this a lot in the game. Just activate Showtime once. Seeker of Power. Using incense. Incenses are really, you get them in the game, but they're more for the hardest mode, merciless. You get a lot of this incense later on, so you're not gonna have to really worry about this. Unshakable Team, perform an all-out attack. You'll probably get this over the course of the game. It's not really that hard. Weak. We all know how Persona works. You're gonna hit the weaknesses more than 300 times. Trust me. Phantom Striker, this is using interactable objects in the game in combat. Once again, we'll explain a little bit that in the review, but once again, this is pretty straightforward. This one might take a little bit of grinding depending if you buy the levels for a treasure demon early on or late on. So essentially, this is beat 10 treasure demons. They spawn randomly in dungeons. What the bond skill does is increases the chance of them spawning if, and this is the biggest tip I can give you with treasure demons, if you have level 3 unlocked, If you kill every enemy on a dungeon and wait a little bit, a treasure demon will spawn on the floor. This is a guaranteed method to do it. So you just have to wait once you basically eliminate everyone on the floor. Next up is Death Defied, Defeat the Reaper. He is the final boss of the game, not story. He's the final boss of your playthrough, essentially. You need to beat Reaper in order to activate New Game Plus, which is required for the trophies. Honestly, we'll go over Reaper in the review section of this because he does pertain to a lot of what I consider about the difficulty of this game. Next up is Mask Connoisseur. Create every single persona in the game. You're going to need New Game Plus for this because Lucifer is the only ranked 90 persona in the game and he's locked to New Game Plus. So you will need New Game Plus to do this. Best Friends. Oh, yeah, and that goes with Eternal Bonds. We'll get into this one last. We'll come around for it. So next up is Eye for Talent. Spend a persona point. This is essentially the game's way of allowing you to buff skills as much as you want with persona points, which you collect by basically just collecting persona masks that you don't use or deleting persona. So you're always gaining something when you have a persona. So it's really, really good. Even if you get a junk one, the game will auto dismantle it for you if you have too many. Knife in the Dark. Perform 50 ambushes. Once again, pretty simple. Reach level 70. This is pretty much you're going to have to get to level 70 regardless. And if anything, on your first playthrough, the way I did, I pretty much was level 90. And there's only 99 levels in the game. So you're going to get this over time. What are friends for? Clear our special requests. Some say that this could be missable, but there are more than enough quests in the game. Once again, I'll leave some guides down below in the links to show it off, but this is 100% doable. Even if you miss some of the special quests in the game, you're not going to miss out on this trophy at all. Next up are the Dire Shadows. Is beating one and beating all of them. You're going to need to do this regardless anyways. It's just a stronger enemy in the game. So it's not really that hard. And these are probably going to be, one of them is going to be very significant to the Bond trophy. Obtain all Master Arts. Which one was this again? For Joker, okay. So these are the Master Arts for the characters. In order to level up their Master Arts, all of them have 4. You need to play with the characters as much as possible, doing actions, attacking, essentially in the game. So these are very, very easy to do. You just have to play with the character enough. So you have to play with every single character in the game to unlock those Master Arts. And this is the one for completing everyone's Master Art. Next up is your required trophies, requests. So once again, you got to do that. I'm going to double check real quick on this. Special quest. Oh, okay, this is one of the missable quests in the game. So this one is for the, sorry, my bad. This is for the special request for a friend. You'll know when this happens. They're in every single area of the game other than past Kokonoe stage. You're gonna get one of these, so make sure you do them. They are missable, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory and they're not that hard to do for most people to miss them. Item sweeper, just collect 200 items in the dungeon. Easily done, trust me. Cooking, basically you're gonna want to cook anyways. It's another way to increase your bond level skill, only at low levels, essentially. But you're gonna want to make at least 12 recipes. There's more than that in the game, especially with Sophie's shop. You can buy as many ingredients as you need. The only one that's gonna be hard to get is coffee. You're gonna need at least 2 select coffee beans in the playthrough to make all of the recipes, but once again, you can miss some completely, and you can always, if you miss a recipe in the game, you can later buy it back for an extreme amount of money. So it's not the end of the world if you miss one of them through the playthrough, but you're gonna need, once again, 2 select coffee beans to create all recipes. One for regular coffee and one for super coffee, essentially. Impulse buyer, just keep buying stuff on the shop, very, very easy. A little memento. Technically, this should be missable, but there's a one part in the story where you have ramen as part of the story, so you get this no matter what. Because there's a little souvenirs throughout the game that sometimes your friends, when you speak to them in the story, outside of the story mission, outside of the actual story events, they can possibly give you one. There's I think there's like a 5 or 6 of them in total. But once again, you get this because there's one part of the story that they just give you the souvenir for. Treasure Hunter, open 50 chests. Once again, it's pretty standard. and gold trophy, no looking back. This is essentially activating New Game Plus on Merciless difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. And we're going to go over kind of the difficulty scaling in the review section of this game. What you will most likely need this. I say most likely because it's possible, once again, to get, we'll go all the way back, to get this trophy, max out bond levels. So, like I said, mentioned before, you gain bond levels through battling, and it's based when you do battles, it's based off of XP that your enemy gives you. You can also do it from special events in the game, doing event quests, and there's sometimes some interactable stuff out there that can give you bond levels. There's a lot of guides out there that say you can do this infinite for infinite bond level. I will tell you now, those are fake videos. Those are absolutely clickbait. If someone says you can do this for free bond levels for free infinitely, that video is a sham. To do that, especially in there's 4 places you can do it. You can do it in Sendai. You can go to pay 100 yen to essentially buy a fortune. You can go to the next place, which is Okinawa. You can go pray at one of those areas. It's free. You can go to Kyoto. I believe it's also another praying area. And you go to what was it? I forget the place after. It's Kokonoe's place. It was not Okinawa, but I forget. I'm forgetting. I'm sorry. But you can pray at the giant foot statue, and it's also free bond points. Those bond points are so little that they're not worth it at the end game. So let me go explain this to you. It takes over 100+ hours to grind it those ways by doing those prayer stuff to get to max level. There's also a boss, one of the second hardest boss, and the only honestly farmable boss in the game, other than the main bosses of the game, is a sub-farmable boss in normal mode, is Metatron. If you farm Metatron, it takes him 15 hours to get max bond skill, which once again, was why I said it's possible to do without Merciless mode. What Merciless mode does is it increases the difficulty of the game significantly, but it also outputs significant more EXP. There's some people saying I got from level 60 to level 88 just by the time that I'm finished with the second dungeon. I've heard people say I've done it. I finished the 4th dungeon on Merciless and got to level 88. Honestly, I don't know if those stories are correct, but this is the fastest method I found, and I will leave the link to the guy's video into the links in the description of this. And this is honestly the fastest way to, in my opinion, get to level 99. So you're gonna want to be on Merciless difficulty, and the dire monsters as part of one of those trophies on normal mode. You have to kill all of them, but because on Merciless mode they respawn, it means you can constantly just keep farming them. So you want to go to Sendai's jail over here. You want to go to 1 second, let it load in. You want to go to this checkpoint over here, Sendai World Center. And we're gonna go down this way. Typically with this farm, it took me roughly to get to this point. It's probably the fastest. Oh, we gotta beat these guys. Let's get this out of the way because I want to be ambushed right now. Oh, someone's alive. All right, there we go. So you do that, and you get this dire monster will constantly respawn in the game. He is he's a giant snake, and he's weak to fire. So what you want to do is you can use this team setup I have here is your main character and Sophia and Zenkichi as a team, and you can just pretty much just burn the boss by just having fire moves. So in order to set this up, I have Lucifer over here, once again the strongest persona possible to be made in game. The thing is, he comes with Blazing Hell. This is the most important thing to have is Blazing Hell. I have Heat Riser to buff myself up as well too. You also have Knockdown Style for increased gauge. Honestly, I didn't really think Rebel Soul was necessary, but once again, you're only gonna, if you get the farm down correctly, you're probably only gonna get Showtime once, if once at all. Another huge one is Spellmaster here. This is from Alice. If you have Alice high enough level, you can give Spellmaster to Lucifer. So this significantly reduces SP cost. Fire Amp, once again, to increase fire attacks. Morningstar is just there because I like Morningstar, but typically you want Fire Boost here because Fire Boost and Fire Amp help each other out. They double boost it, and then you have Shadow of Grief, Drain Affinity, passive skill, also restores SP based off of damage absorbed. So here's kind of the build I used for Lucifer. I would once again go with Fire Boost. Typically, I can just spam Hell's Fire over and over, Blazing Hell over and over and over again to basically just instant melt the boss. The boss takes around, if you have it at this rate, with stats like this and maxed out characters, the boss takes around 5 minutes to beat, rather than like the 15 minutes it usually takes to struggle against most dire bosses in the game. I can show off my Alice as well too. This is my farm bot essentially. I spend money. I maxed out Alice on Merciless because you just get so much incense and so much money from it, and so much persona points. Once again, once you have a fully maxed out character like this, you keep buying and selling them, you get roughly almost like 2 million points from this, and you can use that to level up other characters as well too. So there's the fastest method in my opinion to get max bond, folks. So we're gonna move on to the last segment of this. So with all those out of the way, that is your platinum trophy for Persona 5 Strikers. Overall, it roughly takes 45 hours to beat the game if you do everything. I over prepared. Once again, I over prepared for it. It took another plus 20 plus hours to get my footing correctly and just get the boss farm ready to get the platinum. So we're gonna go into my overall review of the game. So overall, I did enjoy the game, guys. Regardless of how I feel about how BS that one trophy was, I overall did like the game. There's some stuff that really stood out as a sore thumb to me. You kind of really notice it towards the end of the game. The beginning of the game, the 3 first dungeons felt really expansive. They felt really, really good. They felt like it took a long time to beat. But when you get towards the end, even the next dungeon after, which is the Okinawa prison dungeon, then Kyoto's dungeon, they all feel really, really short. And it comes really at the end of the game when the last 2 dungeons are legitimately 15 minutes long. It just feels like they were rushed. And I do believe Tecmo Koei was rushed to finish the game. So the last 2 dungeons, even the last 4, felt so fast to finish. It feels like they were running out of time. And you can kind of tell that they were rushed with the game. I understand that you're not going to have every single support character from the original game here. You're not going to have Persona 5 Royal's characters, guys. This game was made before Royal was probably put into production. So they had to get this game out before Royal. So you're not going to have Kasumi. There's no way you can get implementations from Crow into this game. You're not going to have a lot of the characters. You're pretty much basically having your main cast from Persona 5 in this game, and that's about it. You rarely see Sojiro either. And it feels like the end game was really rushed with how they did it. So we're going to get into the difficulty and end game. So like I said, in order to get New Game Plus, you have to beat Reaper. To beat Reaper, you need to beat every single... Essentially, you have to beat every single hard request, which requires a certain boss-type character in the game. So you're going to go through all of that to get to Reaper. Honestly, at that point, I was so prepared for Reaper, it was a joke. Reaper was an absolute joke. Because this game, like I'm trying to get to right now, is it beats into you that you need to be prepared. A lot of the early boss fights, Alice, Natsume, Marika, they're all really, really hard if you don't prepare for them. Bosses in this game, even normal fights, people will just one-shot you, because if you get stunned or you get into a combo from any of the enemies in the game, you are immediately melted. And that's the kind of problem. It felt really weird. Even in the tutorial mission, when I just started playing the game, I wasn't really paying attention. When you get the first opening cutscene, I actually died in there because Joker just got comboed to hell by all the Zeals. that kind of really sets the tone for the game, where it just beats into you. You need to be prepared for every single fight in the game, or else it's just not going to go your way. You need to stock up on health items, you need to stock up on SP items, you need to stock up on show time items, and you need to stock up on status recovery items. Because if you get hit, you're going to be comboed to death in this game instantly. There is no when you get hit with a status and you're just surrounded, you're gone. You might as well switch to the next character. Your character is finished. You gotta revive them. And revive items, if you don't stock up, are very expensive in the game. But by that time I hit that where I prepared for the final boss and I prepared for Reaper, I over prepared. Like I said, I was level 90 plus when I first fought Reaper. He was a joke to me. He was literally not killing me because I over prepared for that. Every single powerful weapon, every single powerful piece of armor I had reduction skills. All my personas were pretty much there. I had Yoshitsune ready to crit multiply him, Reaper to death. Because Reaper in this game is only weak to essentially critical hits, which is what Yoshitsune does. So I mean, once again, like it just like the difficulty just seems so weird in this game. Either everything swung from super hard to either super easy because of all the mechanics you get with stunning, with all-out attacks. It just felt really weird. And and to say that people say, like this is not really a Persona game. I felt this game was more of a Persona game than it was a Warriors game. And I'm a Warriors fanatic, guys. I love Warriors game. This game felt more Persona-like than a Warriors game. It felt like Warriors game you can just maul people over. In this game, you actually have to play tactfully and just base your moves off of what your opponents are weak to. And it felt more Persona-like, and it feels like the evolution of a Persona game, and that's what I like. Yes, I think the story is okay with the game. I just felt like the gameplay, the difficulty was just all over the place, and it swings even harder when you're playing Merciless. Merciless, they pretty much put everyone at max. Bosses will pretty much one shot you if you don't prepare. Again, once again, if you don't prepare, and well, I'm saying you're not prepared if you're not even level 99 for Merciless. That's how the game prepares you. Like you see all those stats I had on those months on my personas, you have to essentially max them out. Then you can maybe get like 3 hit by a boss or something. You have to prepare so much in this game. It just feels like an infinite prep simulator. But at the end of the day, I still really enjoyed Persona 5 Strikers. I understand that this is, like this is the definitive ending to the game. I don't think we will see anything once again. I think Tecmo Koei did an amazing job with the game. Really, really do hats off to them. I just wish there was more to it. It did end abruptly because of the last couple dungeons felt so fast. It just felt like beginning of the game they had so much time, they had so much effort put into the game. Then they realized, oh, we have an end date, we have to meet. We got to put out the game, and they just shortened the ending of the game. And it just feels kind of robbed in that sense, since this is probably the last story we're gonna get with these characters, and it just felt too rushed at the end. Other than that, we can properly move on to now to Persona 6. I do believe we'll be getting an announcement for Persona 6, if not by the end of this year, next year, because it's been roughly 7, 8 years since the last Persona game, and it takes roughly around 8 years, 8 to 10 years to make. So we're up on that time period where Persona 6 might be around the corner, guys. And you have to understand that Persona 5 went through development hell. People don't really know this or remember this, but Persona 5 went through bankruptcy. And I assure you, the long period of time it took to make the Persona game, that definitely took the biggest toll in the game, was the bankruptcy of Atlus. They had to file for bankruptcy. And I'm sure the game was probably in mega limbo at that point, and they didn't want to finish it. Because what do you do when your company's in bankruptcy? So I think we probably will see Persona 6 sooner rather than later. Most likely, once again, we're probably going to get some announcements soon. Because you got to look at some things. Persona 5 had to go on a completely different engine. They can use the same engine for Persona 6 now, so they don't have to go through all of that development. They're also not, once again, they're not in development hell with the bankruptcy looming over them, and that's a huge one right there. It's just, once again, it takes time, and Persona has shown me the value of taking your time. Once again, so Once again, great game, great platinum. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below.